Kobe Bryant, the legendary NBA star, is dead tonight.
There's going to be more outbreaks, and there's going to be more epidemics.
Today, the World Health Organization officially announced that this is a global pandemic.
The NBA is now suspending the season because of coronavirus following tonight's game.
There have now been more than 10,000 people infected with the virus in Italy.
All of Italy is going on lockdown.
How long can you be peaceful when your people are dying?
A cinematic king has fallen.
Wakanda forever! Stores fearing civil unrest are doing what they can to protect their businesses.
At this point, you're probably super fed up with 2020 and can't wait for the countdown to hit so that you guys can jump into 2021. Trust me, I am too. But before we do, I've got to get something off my chest. You see, every time I talk to someone about 2020, this is how they react.
2020? That not make it. 2020 did mash up this year. Foolishness.
2020? Sorry, not interested.
And those were just my friends. Here are a couple other people's opinions on 2020.
2020, bro, worst year ever.
2020.
But you see, the thing I hear most when talking to someone about 2020 is this.
2020 sucks.
2020 sucks is a phrase that has echoed across the globe this year, and you'd be hard pressed to find someone that didn't agree with it. 2020 sucks? See, I'm not really convinced. What I believe is that 2020 has gotten itself a bit of a bad rap. I also believe that instead of hating on 2020, we should be thanking it. Because contrary to popular belief, 2020 is probably the best thing that has happened to us in a long time. Before we continue, I'd just like to say, when I say 2020 didn't suck, I am not talking about the loss of life that we faced this year. Whether it's the lives in Nigeria or Ethiopia, lives lost due to the global pandemic, or even to the hands of law enforcement, or even a freak accident. Loss is loss, and that will always suck. It's up to us to represent those people that we lost this year and make sure that their names, their stories, and their legacies echo into eternity. Back to regularly scheduled programming. Before 2020, we were way too comfortable. See, they say that humans are the only species that will do less than they can, and we kind of proved that to be right. Before 2020, we took a lot of things for granted. If something happened to somebody else, we didn't really care. We were complacent and stuck in our ways. And look what happened. The second something serious happened, we were like chickens with our heads cut off. We didn't know who to follow, what to do, what to eat, what workout plans to do, and we kind of paid the price for it at the beginning. There's this mirror that we have to look at, and then that mirror is ourselves. And we had a hard time doing that because we're so used to being in this rat race and following life and not enjoying it and taking the time that when it was time to look in that mirror during quarantine and lockdowns, we didn't even know who we were staring at. But look at us now. One of my biggest beliefs is that the essence of life is growth. 2020 is definitely a year that pushed us. It's a year that required us to learn new skills and find our own happiness. We were so used to just being in our regular routines and doing things that maybe made us happy, but while being in lockdown and quarantine, it forced us to buckle down and say, hey, this is where I get my happiness from. It pushed us to grow and learn new skills. I have friends that learned how to juggle, that learned different languages, certain things like that, that elevated them more than they would have if we didn't go into quarantine and lockdown. By taking more accountability and working on ourselves, it pushes us from a me mentality to a we mentality. And what I mean by that is this. Usually if something happened across the world, we wouldn't care. Even if it happened in our own backyard. As long as it didn't happen to us, we're fine. But now, after working on ourselves and taking things less for granted, When something happens elsewhere in the world, we know that it's not just happening to them, it's happening to us as well. From social unrest to complicated elections, 2020 is nothing to play with. Not to mention the global pandemic that we're currently still facing. Look, this year was tough, and honestly it was tougher than most, trust me, I know. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, nor something that we should run from. There are definitely lessons that can be learned from this year. One of my favorite quotes is that a comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing ever grows there. And that couldn't be more true. Tell me another year that pushed us to grow like 2020, or another year that gave us more perspective on life. All people talk about is how things will never go back to how they were, dubbing this the new normal. Well, we shouldn't want things to go back to how they were, we should want them to be better. Let me ask you a rhetorical question. Do you think this is the first year ever we've had global disease, loss of life, racism, and discrimination? No. These kind of things happen all the time. They just happen to a select group of people. The biggest difference between all those other years in 2020 is that this year, we all got punched in the face, which to me is a blessing in disguise because that punch to the face has taught us a very valuable lesson. And that lesson is that we're all in this together. Black lives are starting to matter to those that aren't even black. The things happening in Nigeria and Ethiopia are starting to matter in other countries as well. And essential and frontline workers are finally getting the respect that they deserve. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, rich, poor, gay, straight, tall, or short. We're all in this together. And after 2020, I think we all understand that now. 2020 didn't suck. You know what year sucked? Whatever year the asteroid came and killed all the dinosaurs, that year definitely sucked. Life is gonna have ups and downs, but what matters most is how we adapt to them. 2020 was simply doing what it was supposed to do. And if we do what we're supposed to do, then you and I will simply disregard this message, blame 2020 for everything, and sit there and hope that 2021 is better. But without a plan, we're just doomed to repeat it all over again. But you see, what I believe is that humans can do more than what we're supposed to. So let's take this past year, the ups, the down, the good, the bad, and let's learn from it, grow from it, embrace it and challenge it, so that we can make 2021 and every year that follows the best that they can be. I know that that's a daunting task. I know it's not easy, but you're not alone. Remember.